Every gram is sacred. Every gram is great. If a gram is wasted, Colin Chapman gets quite irate. Too many syllables there. And now that I've messed with the interior fuses, I think it's time to work on the engine bay fuses and kind of get those out of the way. I think in the future going forward, I'll probably make more of these intros to make a more professional beginning. But right now, the reason I'm doing this one is just so that I can make the classical music joke that you probably didn't realize I was making until I pointed it out and may still not get. So the fuses under the hood, I figure, are somewhat generally more important. There's not really too much that I can yank out of here, because most of this stuff is important stuff like main power to supply to electrical system and engine cooling fan stuff, ignition switch and starter, stuff that I can't really get rid of. However, there is a single fuse here for the anti-lock brake, which I guess is this 30 amp here. There's actually a second ABS fuse that actually looks like it's already been pulled. Well, that's really convenient. Okay. Oh, powered subwoofer. 24. I can probably get rid of that too. And naturally there's like 4 10 amp fuses left, and I managed to run out of 10 amp fuses. Fantastic. Well, I guess that means I'm going to have more than 7.5 amp fuses to buy. Whatever. Now to remove the dash, I think I have to take this out, which there are screws up under here. Or maybe there were screws is the more accurate thing to say. Yeah, party mode. So maybe this will just come right out, hopefully, maybe without too much drama. Oh, okay, good. All right, well, that was easier than expected. Every gram is sacred. Every gram is great. If a gram is wasted, Colin Chapman gets quite irate. I think I'll turn that into a song. Yes, I find that it's best to not work with the screwdriver pointed directly at my heart. How'd you end up in the ER? Well, I stabbed myself with a screwdriver in the heart. Figure everybody's gonna screw up. Everybody's gonna screw up sometimes. So the difference between oops and ER or 911 is often simply working in a way that your fuck-ups don't matter. And if I accidentally shoot this screwdriver in the wrong direction, it goes over there and maybe worst case scenario breaks the passenger mirror, but probably not. So I've been thinking that the car probably needs a name. It's not a Dodge product, so I'm not going to nickname it the General Lee. And besides, if I was going to nickname it after a military person, I would name it after somebody who won. General Grant, General Eisenhower. Naming your car after General Lee is like naming your boat after Admiral Hirohito. Or was Hirohito the emperor? I don't know. Whatever. Yes, all you Southerners, go ahead. Make fun of it in the comments. You can talk about how Lee was this master tactician, strategist, or whatever, and I think that he was better at strategy than tactics. But because if you read what was it Grant? I think it was Grant was talking about Lee after the war, and he's like, yeah, that's one of the generals I never worried about facing on the battlefield. Awkward Civil War history while we're doing this. I also have to decide if I'm going to keep the car black or not, because I really don't want to pay to paint the car, but by the same token, it could use it, and I think it would look really sexy in British Racing Green, maybe with a yellow stripe. Blue is my favorite color, so I'd very much like to have a blue car, but you know, Subaru's kind of cornered the market on blue rally cars, and this obviously is not a Subaru, so there's no reason to make it blue. And frankly, even if it was a Subaru, I've already owned one blue Subaru in the past, and I'd just like to do something different. Someday when I run out of other ideas for videos, I'll make a you know, cars of Team Dukes of Biohazard, and we can talk about the weird shit that I own. What I should do is go into the kitchen and bring out my, you know, my 1/10 of a gram accurate scale that I use for coffee and tea, and weigh this glue and be like, look, I just took 1.7 grams off the car in the last 15 minutes. Fortunately, I have extensions. Insert your own joke about length here. Alright, in classic Jason's Luck fashion, this is probably necessary. Removing the gauge cluster is probably necessary to get the dash off, but it is not sufficient. And that's on pretty tight, so there's got to be screws somewhere else in here, which means I need to go hunting for a screw, which, well, sounds like the time that I, right after I got separated. Yeah, so I guess I'll go back at it. I actually have a shop manual that tells me how to take apart the dash, and I read the instructions, and therefore a 3-piece dash, which this clearly is one large piece going across, so those instructions are completely worthless. Of course they're behind here. Perfect. Once upon a time, this wire was insulated. Look at how badly that's broken down. That's... oh, that's not really an insulated wire anymore. See, that's nature reducing weight for me. Oh, wait a minute, maybe I am loose and I just need to actually have the balls to yank on it. That's what she said, or maybe not. Kind of weird. Oh, wait. So, looks like there's a pair of screws down way at the bottom. And you're not going to get close up, sorry. Of a totally different sort. Great. Not even a pair, just one. Oh, you bitch. All right. It's another Arthur Dent couch. I have to... It just doesn't want to come out in one piece because the levers are stuck in the way. And I can't rotate it enough to get the levers out of the way. This is going to be exciting. Cue Hallelujah Chorus. Or maybe I shouldn't until I get out of the car. Few grams I can save here by taking out the antenna wire, because obviously it's no longer connected to any radio. How important is this? And the answer is probably not very, if I had to guess. It's probably one of those things for comfort and noise reduction and all that garbage that I don't need. Alright, so it's just a matter of loosening up that down clip. Come on, there's another one, I think. Yeah. Voila. There's a clip in there too, isn't there? Probably that. Just break it, right? Wrong end. Got to use the dikes properly. Bonus fraction of a gram. As long as I'm thinking about it, these screws here appear to be the same size. So one of the unexpected findings, when I took the dash off, I didn't notice this little bulb behind here, and it took me a little while to figure out where it was leading. There's clearly some aftermarket heavy gauge wires leading there. And I noticed that this kind of pushes in. And if you follow the wires over here, you end up basically leading to what I think are the charging wires here, because there's the gray-black, there's a green, and somewhere over here there's, well, this actually purple goes to ground over here off to the side of the screen. But I think somebody tried to do a push-button start on this. Interesting. I wonder if it works. Of course, I think at this point I'm just as curious as to whether I broke the car from cutting off. Okay, so maybe I should open the garage door so I don't carbon monoxide myself to death. Although let's face it, I'm not going to run it very long if I run it at all. I guess well, that bulb is glowing. Okay, no, pushing it does nothing. Okay, so the car still runs. I haven't completely broken it by all the things I took off, but this push to start button does not actually start it, so that's fine. So one of the worst pieces of advice I appear to have received on the internet is that the check engine light is an LED soldered to the circuit board, and that replacing it requires desoldering and all of that jazz, and of course it's a sensitive board and all that jazz, and that is the last thing that I wanted to do. But having taken off the instrument cluster, it now appears that there are indeed a bunch of replaceable lights. Since I've never seen the check engine light, I had to look it back up, and it's actually this one down in the corner here, so we should be able to simply untwist this and see if the bulb is burnt out, because that would be a much simpler fix than... Boy, these should be easy. I think the problem is just... Anyway, this would be a much easier fix than if I have to do something to, fix the check engine light. Where's my pliers? Oh, pliers, there you are. Why didn't I have these ready to go to begin with? Probably because you're an idiot? Oh, this light is never going to work. Well, that was a lot easier than it had any right being. I will take it. Small victories. There's a penis joke in there somewhere. So, one of the entertaining things I discovered while futzing around under the engine is that I was able to diagnose why my reverse lights don't come on when I throw it in reverse. So, let me see if I have a short piece of wire or something that I can short this out and confirm that it's really just the sensor that's unplugged. What I did not record was me playing with the sensor and trying to actually get it on the transmission, because I did that for 40 minutes and it was just completely frustrating. So I gave up. It's one of the fun things is that the last time I was doing electricity, I was putting the solar down at the shed and discovered that my dad thought that using a knife to strip wires was weird and unusual. Like, I didn't think that was that weird. It's actually really quite convenient as long as you're very, very careful about your thumb. There's probably a safer way to do it, but why would I bother doing that, right? Hey, check that shit out. 30 seconds later. How can they work the first time? That's some bullshit. Maybe I did not pick a good connector and I burned it out. Okay. All right, good. The thicker wire seems to be fixed. And I think that's about enough for one episode, so we will continue work next time. On behalf of myself and of Harold and the whole gang up here at Dukes of Biohazard Racing, keep your stick on the ice. The blow and glown. Blow and glown? What the hell does that mean? Glow when blown.